All right, howdy, folks. So I'm going to walk you through how to build the first of the 5 documents that are in the directions for our Kate session. And that is, of course, the question doc. So the first thing we want to do is change the margins. The default margin in Google Docs is 1 inch, so we want to change that. So I'm just going here to File, Page Setup, and I'm going to change all these 1s to 0.5, just 0.5, tab 0.5, tab 0.5, tab 0.5. I just hit enter and we changed them all. Now we're going to start with a table with 3 rows. So insert, table, we want 3 rows, just 1 column. So it's a 1 by 3 table. We're going to put that in. The first one, or these first 2, I like to center them. So I just highlighted them there, and I'm clicking the center button. The top one here is going to be the title. I'm just going to put a random title in here, like Little Fires Everywhere Reading Questions. Sometimes you might want to make that bigger if you, but I'm not going to bother right now. And then I usually put my course information on the next one. So name of the course, English 9A. I like to put a little divider, like a hyphen here. English 9A, Mr. Reardon, and period. No, excuse me. I like to put the like time as well, so I can tell the difference between certain documents later. So I'll say spring 2023. And again, actually, maybe I will go back and make the font or change some aesthetic things in just a minute. So, all right, so we have this next line here now. And this is going to be for student info. So you're going to want to split the cells. I usually do, for something I'm going to collect, I usually do 4 columns here. So I did a right click or 2-finger click on a Mac, then split cells. I want 1 row, or excuse me, 1 row, but 4 columns. I'm going to put a 4 in that box, split. Now we have name. Usually do name, period, roster number. Roster number is like just a number 1 through usually 30 or 30-ish that corresponds to the student's alphabetical position on the class roster. It can be really helpful. And then I do the seat code. Each of their desks has a special code on it that has a meaning, and that it makes it easier for me to return papers once they have been scored. I'm going to drag these over. You can just grab these borders and drag them around. It's pretty awesome. Take this one and drag it over a little bit. And so we have, now you have these slots for students to write in. So at this point, I usually like to leave this by itself, and then, but let's make some changes to the aesthetics first. I like Garamond as my font instead of Arial. It just seems to look nicer. I'm going to make it a little bigger. Well, yeah, I think I'm going to make this 12. My default for what students are actually reading and working with is 12. For this information, I usually do 10. And then for the titles, I'll do sometimes like 18, sometimes a little bigger, depending on what it is. Let's do 18. And I'm going to make it bold. I'm going to make this bold too, just like how it looks. All right, so now we have this, and we're going to create a new table. This time, we want to go insert table, and the number, what kind of table you want right now, really corresponds to the questions you're going to be asking. All right, so if you know in advance, like this is going to be a 5-question quiz, or this is going to be a 6-question assignment, then you can just insert. You want double that number of rows total. So let's just say this is a 5-question assignment. I'm going to want 10 rows, still just 1 column. We don't need any more than 1 column. So I'm going to do that and add that in. Then add your questions. 1, and you want to do this in every intervening row. I'm just going to say question, copy that to the clipboard so I can use it. 2 question, skip a row, 3 question, 4 question, 5 question. Right, so now I've got my 5 questions, and I can type whatever I want in there. And then these boxes are going to be for student responses. So, but we want to make them bigger, obviously. And here's how we're going to do that. You can either use this table options button up here. I just prefer to right click and click table properties. And then you click on row, minimum row height. My default is usually 1 inch. If you want a little more space for students to respond, you can, of course, do that. And you can play with that as well to make the whole table land on the page in the way that you want it to look. So I'm going to do this for all of the rows. The thing about making these organizers is that there are occasionally a bunch of repetitive tasks. It's a little bit annoying, but it is what it is. So like here, I added my 5 questions and I've still got space. So I might go back and change these to 1.3, and we'll see if that fits, or if it ends up going on to the next page, which seems to me to be aesthetically undesirable. Okay, we just made it, so that worked. So that's pretty much it. There's one more thing I recommend. When you send this to the printer, these black lines are going to seem much bolder than they do right now on the screen. And so I like to change the outlines to gray. It's a little bit less intense, I think. It has this interesting aesthetic effect. So I'm going to select both tables, just select the whole thing, go up here to this border color button, and I'm going to change it to the gray that's above the yellow. That's always what I use. And then for this one, same thing, the gray above the yellow. Or sorry, no, this one is to fill in the cells. You don't want to do that. We want this one. There we go. Oh, it looks like we have this awkward second page here. That the way to get rid of that is to change the font size to 1 at the top of that page, and then it will like hop up to the previous page and delete the sort of lingering one at the bottom. And that's it. You have just created your question handout. Actually, oops, I just realized the font here is still wrong. I'm going to change that and make it 12. Okay, now it's done. It is aesthetically consistent. Thank you, folks.